Hello. So, my inspiration for the night is self love. Now, I do sometimes observe mainstream spirituality, new age concepts online, and I like to read what other people say sometimes and like the trends of the day. So, to keep myself aware of of how people feel and what is, the topic that people are really drawn to. And I can see um, for years now, it's been this topic of self love. So, self love, I see it, I think it's interesting. In one sense, it's good because we should all learn to love ourselves just as we love others and love life in general because going about life with a poor sense of self esteem, which is, of course, a result of letting your false ego dominate, is, of course, in opposition to leading a healthy and productive life. I think many or most people have been raised to not love themselves because many reasons, but is just the mode of society to encourage intense insecurity and self criticism, especially related to the physical body and what it does not reflect. That is, the social standards of beauty and perfection. So there's a lot of insecurity and even in more serious cases, trauma that is instilled in people that makes it very hard for them to love themselves. But it is this place of trauma that I feel like is sparking this huge emphasis on self love in the new age. So it goes like this generally. People grow up in a very restrictive way, Matrix society, Babylon, you're to the body. Um, you can't relate to anyone in a deep spiritual way through the heart. You are, you know, who you are based on the most superficial things. So you repress really your inner child nature, your free and spontaneous soul being. You don't even know you have that in many cases, but it's suppressed because, of course, we do have it. Everyone as a child was originally in touch with that. They were that. We bring that in from before we're born because it is our true nature, and that's why you see children are so free and they don't have all these pretenses that adults adopt gradually. So yeah, we go through life, puberty hits, adolescence, rough period for me, very, very rough. Feeling so suppressed, my soul, but not knowing why I feel so bad, so covering it with lots of things, drugs, alcohol, but not even just that, that's just the most superficial layer of it, but just a false personality to be cool, to be accepted, and not even that, but just to feel okay in the world, a covering that you have to wear a mask, but you're completely alienated from yourself. So people, kids desperately searching for their true identity, searching for belonging, their tribe, and you see it through the subculture or goth, punk, hip hop, like all these things. They provide a sense of, oh yes, that is the authenticity that I crave because it's been deprived of me, but often still remaining on the superficial level of the way you dress. So I always loved like punk and things like that because it was like, oh, it's something real at least, away from the sugary pop music, mall going youth that I hated. So I was always looking for the counterculture, but that did not satiate me either. Anyway, then okay, so you go through that. Some people stay on that level of identifying with subcultures, tribes that give them a box that they can put themselves in that provides a sense of identity. But then many people, I think, in their late teens, 20s, 30s, start to rebel against this and start being interested in spirituality. and feeling like something is off about this identity, and knowing that for a long time they have been wearing this mask, and feeling so repressed. And then, okay, you come across something about yoga or, I don't know, meditation, and it's a validation for you to realize that there is more to life than consuming, than social groups, than, your job and stuff. So that is liberating for people. But my point here is with self-love. So if we go into a new identity, spiritual identity, still on the basis of what we have not healed from our past, then in the way, the spiritual journey, or what we think is the spiritual journey, can become all about repetitively doing this healing work of validating the self, the child self. But even that is not really going very deep. I think it is necessary to heal ourselves first. If we hold a lot of trauma, if we have poor self-confidence, yes, we cannot really progress on the path and gain real knowledge and insight, because it will all be colored by this poor self-esteem and self-worth that leads people to act in very egoic ways. And when we act in egoic ways, we cannot handle real knowledge, because knowledge is a responsibility. And we can get, caught up in these new age practices like the law of manifestation, law of attraction, The Secret. Because we want this personal power, we want to have the money and the lover and all the things we want because we're still this wounded child inside that hasn't sacrificed sacrifice, it sounds like a scary word, but surrendered this false ego self at the altar of love. Because that is the process, the initiatory step to really progress in the path of transmutation, is to give up the false self. But it's scary because it's like, okay, well, what replaces it? The true self. But it's work, and it's devotion. It's devotion to something unknown. Sorry, I burped. Just had some rice. I'm always burping in these videos. So, what was my point? Oh yeah, self-love. So I almost feel like I agree we should love ourselves. And I don't even always love myself sometimes, and I don't have perfect self-esteem, and I can see in ways where I hold that and it can block me. But to focus on that perpetually as like a never-ending search for this elusive acceptance of myself, it's like, first of all, it's so self-centered rather than being life-centered, which includes ourselves. It's not like, okay, I have to negate myself, but I am part of life. I am part of a huge, vast, cosmic being of life that needs my service, needs my participation as a microcosm in the macrocosm. It's like people blow themselves up into this macrocosm of like endlessly fascinating traumas to dissect, and it's like, through the service to others and through participating in life, you do heal your trauma, you do heal. But to focus on healing itself, it's like, it's a loop. Because you're always going to find more shit like in yourself, because we are so conditioned here, and there's the whole entire matrix structure system that profits off of our shitty self-esteem, sorry for cursing, but that profits off of us feeling bad, and there will always be another loop to go through if you are completely self-centered like that. And you don't really heal until you can actually actually really return to the heart. And the heart is different than the emotions, the solar plexus, the feeling of approval of myself, confidence, like, yeah, I'm great, everyone likes me. Like, people confuse that feeling with the heart. The heart is free of ego, it's free of false ego, like needing recognition from others, needing to have accomplishments and stuff like that that are all external and attached to your identity as a human. You have to give up all of that. And then, and then it really begins. Then we can start to learn something about life. But if we're always seeing everything else in terms of ourselves and how we need to feel good all the time, it's like, no, it's not about feeling good all the time. Like, it's about feeling real. It's about being real with yourself. So yeah, I can see how self-love can be used as a term to justify everything like that you do, like um doing something that's wrong or out of alignment of integrity, and then justifying it by saying, well, I needed to do it for myself because I love myself. Well, that's not really love, because love is truth, and you should be real with yourself. Then you can really love yourself, because then you allow yourself to grow into who you really are. But that false love is just like keeping you in that box of the false self, always staying in what's comfortable and confusing that with love. And that's the opposite of love, because you keep yourself out of your real soul evolution, and you don't get to even discover what it means to be you. So it's tricky, and I don't think it's always a bad term, but I prefer to think of it as love, universal love, love for life, love for the whole, and recognition that I am part of the whole. But there are other selves out there, or for example, with vegetarianism or veganism, like, yeah, okay, I love myself, so I'm gonna, eat what I want because I love myself. I just give myself what I want. Yes, and you know what? I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect vegan. But when I mess up, I'm like, okay, well, that wasn't good. I mean, also I don't castigate myself, but I'm not like, well, that's self-love. I can, have a little cheese. That's fine. No, it's like, okay, well, that was not the best choice, and next time I'm gonna make another choice, just to like hold myself accountable for what I did, and not, cover it with something with a pretty ribbon that is not true. Finding the balance between castigation and blind acceptance of everything, like, because for example, yeah, the animals, it's like they're selves too, they're beings too, so how can you have self-love and then eat other beings in a way that's cruel? I mean, this video is not about veganism, but that's just an example. So I think that's all I wanted to say. Yes, love yourself, love your neighbor, love the grass outside, and have a great night. Peace.